Welcome to Gen Talks. We do this every week. Some of us have been with us for over a year. Started off as our kind of community gathering to figure out what we're doing next week here in LA. And then every time we started shining a spotlight on what somebody up to, we're like, hey, we should just invite people to this and tell us what they're up to. So we're in the advanced state of that, and we have a high degree of badassery with our two guests today. We're two people that, frankly, I think men, we can both say we've been trying to get on here for a while, and either they just play hard to get, or they're busy people, which should inspire us about what they do in their free time. But we're going to start off with Miss Bianca. We're very lucky to have you. You are Director of Data Science for Media and Entertainment at this little company called NVIDIA. Your team views themselves as the startup within NVIDIA's media and entertainment vertical, which should be very interesting to people in our community. That your mission is to partner with streaming platforms and help solve big data challenges using NVIDIA's AI, ML, and DL and computer vision products and solutions. And before that, you were at BET's Media Group for 5 years, and another tiny company called Paramount, leading insights and multi-platform analytics. Very interesting intersection that I think really captures, in a lot of ways, some of the intersections of our own community. So super excited to have you here, and also can't help but shout out. Min, do you want to shout out a little bit of how we've met Bianca, who introduced us amongst us here, and what we're doing?
Well, yeah, I think Ia deserves all the credit because Ia is amazing. One of the greatest people I've ever met, easily. But yeah, and Ia brought Bianca to one of our Gen Jams, and the rest is history. And Bianca, thank you so much for helping us so much at Machine Sonora.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I'm really happy to be here and to, what I really want to do is help you all understand NVIDIA and how to access NVIDIA and who the players are and what that means for the creator economy and what it means, frankly, for you all. So, as Min said, I went to my first Gen Jam last May, and it was right before I was going to fly for a work trip, and it was a Friday night. We are at Fordham University. Shout out to Ia and Tiffany Lee for hosting. And, standard Gen Jam, it's going to be 3 hours, bring a laptop, and you're going to work in a group. And I remember just having a little bit of panic around my personal laptop. I was just like, I just don't know if this make and model is going to be able to hang with this project. And I was right. And I bring this up because, I think about creators and all the hardware, all the software that is required and the interoperability on top of that. And it became so crystal clear at that point, it's only 8 months into NVIDIA, why this is important and how NVIDIA comes into the creator economy as well as media and entertainment to give you the hardware and the software that both talk to each other so you can do the thing and make your magic. So that's just a little opener of what I wanted to share on, connecting that dot between, at a creator level to what we do at NVIDIA. All right. So at NVIDIA, we really, really love to solve hard problems. I'm talking problems that no one can solve. So that means Earth 2, we have actually created a simulated version of Earth to help with weather patterns, as well as climate change, and to keep track of that. So we have foundational large language models that do that. We also are in our healthcare and life sciences side of the industry. We have folks who are hunkered down, really digging in there, trying to cure cancer. And that's vision language models for pathology. We call that precision AI. We also have a whole industry of autonomous vehicles using our software and our hardware to make sure that passengers are safe on the closed and open loops out there in San Francisco, wherever you might be. So all of this is those hard problems, but I do want to take a time stamp back to the early 90s when Jensen and Chris and Curtis were hanging out in that Denny's trying to figure out, wow, we've invented a GPU or graphics processing unit, no bigger than the size of a Nabisco wheat thin. But what do we do with it? How do we parlay this amazing thing? And just, for the folks out there to make it clear, why do we care about a GPU? Why does it matter? To liken it to our industry and to our world. If you think about a CPU, right? That was my Gen Jam experience with my personal laptop. struggle busing, could not get to text image, could not get to video, kept crashing out, didn't have enough tokens. CPU is essentially one editor. You could think of it as one editor going in and fixing frame by frame. A GPU is an entire team of editors that allows you to do all of this at the same time. So that's the play. And that's where NVIDIA's been at. So Chris, Jensen, and Curtis were able to parlay that into PC gaming in the 90s, which really kind of prepped us up for 2006, the boom of AI, specifically perception AI. And here we are in 2026, still solving really hard problems. So what I hope today, that you take away in this conversation is a good sense of who we are, where media and entertainment fits, within NVIDIA, as well as a lot of inspiration and hopefully some tips and tricks and pointers and leads for how you might, join this rocket ship that is NVIDIA. So what we're looking at here, I love this slide. It is absolutely beautiful, picture of NVIDIA Grace Blackwell platform. So this is a GB200 NV Link 72 SuperPod. So you have 4 racks to the left, 4 to the right. And each of those, if you kind of look inside, it looks like little trays, and that's exactly what they are. 18 compute trays. These compute trays, you can put that weak thin or that GPU chip inside, and you can fit 72 inside of one. I'm a tall girl. I'm about 5'9". This, when I stand in front of this in the demo room at HQ, this towers over me. It's about 7 feet, 4 inches. So you can imagine like the power, the compute behind this. This can train a 1 trillion parameter large language model. So that could be Quen 3, the early days of Google Switch Transformers, GPT-4, part of that family. And you basically put the chip in the switch, slot it in, fire it up, you're good to go. But over the years, NVIDIA really started to add this additional software there called CUDA X. CUDA stands for Compute Unified Device Architecture. So it's the idea that if your developers are programming in C, C++, or back in the olden days, Fortran, Python, so you would take that script and code, scrub it out, and you would tweak it and add a little NVIDIA flavor to it. And now you're programming in CUDA. We have over 450 CUDA X libraries, some that are bespoke just for certain industries, some that are bespoke for certain products, platform solutions, but this is really how NVIDIA has come to be. The GPU chip with the internals, the SuperPod technology, the tech platform, and the interoperability of that software that sits on top. So in more recent years, we've developed something called NVIDIA Inference Microservices. So this is our version of pre-trained AI models, and they're packaged and optimized to run across that CUDA installed base that we had talked about previously. So NVIDIA models include Nemotron and Cosmos. Community models might be the Llama 2 and 3 family, Hugging Face, and what a partner model is essentially taking a community model or an NVIDIA model and then making it for their own. So as you can see, those are some of the partners there that are optimizing off of these models. So you have Shutterstock, just to call it a couple, Getty Images, Mistral AI. All right. So on top of NIM sit blueprints. So as you can see, we're starting to build what Jensen likes to call a tech cake or a tech stack. We got the hardware, we have that incredible CUDA X layer, then you have the NIM, and on top of that, now you have the blueprint. So the best way to think about blueprints is like it's use case specific. So because our partners and customers and those in our ecosystem have come to us and said, hey, Bianca and team, this is what we're trying to solve for. What it has done is it has inspired the business to then respond and create a blueprint for deployment. So visual AI agent is a really great one that is very common in the media and entertainment space. Originally, fun fact, it was an operational warehouse use case. So forklift going down the aisle and knock something over, you check, the CCTV camera footage, and you can figure out at the timestamp when that happened. More importantly, give it the contextual understanding, why did it happen? So we can prevent that in the future. So we've adopted that same blueprint for, as you can imagine, studios, film, TV, archival footage is really, really resonating with the VSS blueprint. To the right, bottom right, y'all may be familiar with NVIDIA Omniverse. So that is fantastic for digital twins. That's what we've used for Earth 2. A few years ago, we had partnered with NVIDIA, it was a WPP, and Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola wanted to step into do some hyper local advertising in about 100 markets. And you can just imagine the degree of rendering and production that will take to do that on an advertising front. And so they use Omniverse to do that very quickly and at scale, and making sure that the fidelity was there for the Coca-Cola brand, as well as the fidelity was there for the Coca-Cola bottle itself. So we are really driving this AI economy, and just here's some really quick stats, for you all to sink your teeth into. So, as you heard me say about CUDA, we have about 5 million developers globally who are trained on CUDA. So again, just taking that programming script and just adding that NVIDIA flavor to it to give them general purpose GPU computing access. It's powerful. And so that has led to many apps or applications being developed on GPUs to the tune of 3,000 or more. We actually have a directory, so I'll drop that in the chat later where you all can peruse, who's cozied up to NVIDIA, who has built applications on NVIDIA, and more specifically, what did they build on? So you have a good sense of that. I want to point your eye to this 27,000 AI startups. I love that number, and it just shows the power of NVIDIA, not just super serving ISVs or independent software vendors such as the Runways or Midjourneys or Lumas of the world, but really the smaller ones, who are really going after it and trying to figure out where they play in this space. But we super serve almost 30,000, and they are part of our Inception program. So if you're a creator out there, in this conversation, and you're looking to eventually, bootstrap your own startup, think about NVIDIA Inception program. You get GPU credits, you get access to a venture capital directory. You're invited to special events such as like GTC. We often will host a breakfast or a happy hour and bring all of these startups together so you all can learn from each other. And so you can, again, really start to navigate NVIDIA and think about how to use our hardware and software and get that access. Because it really is about that access and closing the GPU divide. From what I see, in my opinion, is that sometimes at a creator level, the accessibility of all of these tools could be out of reach potentially. But Inception is a great way to close that. So what are we up to in Media 2? In Media 2, we that is our affectionate name that we call ourselves, that we are the next era of media and entertainment. And as you heard me say earlier, NVIDIA's DNA really sits, back in the 90s where we parlayed that GPU chip into the PC gaming industry. But those days are still there. That core business is there with GeForce Now, and we're doing tremendous things on the gaming front. But what we're hearing a lot, from customers and partners, at the studio level, at the startup level, in academia as well too, is that everyone's looking to hyper personalize the experience for customers, fans, subscribers, viewers. And the only way to do that is to again make sure you have that hardware and the software speaking the same language and talking to each other. We hear a lot about sports highlights. So, working with the teams and the leagues, how can we just grab that, information? Give me all the Serena Williams, or give me, I love when Naomi Osaka walked on court with that fabulous outfit. Give me more of that, because that's what Bianca wants. So how do we dynamically super serve that, to every single viewer? Again, going back to, the parameters, the training, the fine tuning, inference, it's all required. You've got to have it right. Same with shoppable content, contextual advertising. a lot of the streaming platforms are trying to figure out how do we go beyond just dropping this, a block of ads that we think that this audience segment it would appeal to, but how do we really, really make sure it reaches one to one and it's deterministic and not probabilistic. So we have a lot of conversations around that and how our data science stack can help with that, as well as our VLMs or vision language models. So in response to, what we're hearing in terms of these use cases and what the world is expecting from media too, that meant we needed to get information and we needed to organize ourselves in a different way. To the left, historically, that is our core business, the intelligent content creation, the creator economy, the studios, how you're using AI for those creative workflows in gaming, film, movies, and TV. And then we also have a business practice area of product engineers, product managers who are focused solely on, okay, let's now how do we think about distributing this out in the world? So whether it's a halftime show, it's a sporting event, or news, let's make sure we can implement, decable those trucks and vans and set up these real-time AI video pipelines that are snapped to SMPTE 2110 at Amos and make sure we're delivering it with as little latency as possible. We want that real time. And that's that golden goose egg that everybody is chasing after. So we have teams swarming that. And then to the right, as you heard Fred share in my introduction, I lead the streaming part of this kind of three-pronged group here of ad tech, streaming, and sports AI. So what my team cares about is the first party data behind all of these streaming platforms. If streaming platforms globally, households carry about 3 to 4. And in some households, this over indexes to 5 to 8 streaming platforms in your home. So you can imagine the level of first party data that is moving with velocity, variety, and volume. And all of that is insight. You can make meaning of that, turn that into a generative recommender, recommendation engine. And again, to make sure you're targeting the right content as well as the right ad load for that subscriber or viewer. So that's how I spend my days. The software development kit for that is better known as Rapids. And that is our data science kit that has data frames, it has neural networks, neurographs, knowledge graphs, all that kind of stuff that can help you really dig in and study what you're seeing in the first party data level. All right. So now what I want to do is just give you a few examples of ISVs that we work with. So I just want to just pause the knowledge tech real quick here. When you hear me say ISVs, that's independent software vendors. So typically, in some worlds, that's the sell side. So a Databricks, a Snowflake, a Runway, any of these ISVs that would take our software development kit, ideally our hardware as well, and push that out and sell their own version of that to the studios. Runway is a really, really great example of that. They originally were on NVIDIA Hopper, which was an older generation of our hardware. And they announced this past January that they're now onto Vera Rubin. So if you remember that slick, Brace Blackwell platform that I showed you a few slides ago, Vera Rubin is the next version of that. So it's going to be far more powerful. And what's exciting, it's something to just like keep tabs on with this powerful hardware adoption is that now Runway is creating their general world model family. So the GWM1. And this is designed to accelerate entering robots to create virtual worlds and as well as to create virtual avatars. So it's no longer relegated to multimodal, video generation, but this is going beyond that and really, really stepping it up. So stay close to what Runway's up to on that. It's going to be some powerful stuff. I also imagine that, as a creator or user, when you're in there, it's going to be a very different experience that we'll all feel. I will skip playing that in the interest of time. Beamer. is another ISV. And what they've done is they've adopted our NVIDIA encoding SDK. So if you see to the left, from a visual standpoint, low pixelation, low millibytes per second. And then as you move to the right, the pixelation improves. So what Beamer was able to do was figure out how to increase the quality of this image by focusing and rendering certain parts of the image that mattered most to the eye. And by doing so, they were able to shave off 2 millibytes per second, and reduce that file size, or excuse me, the speed of that it was processing at that file size. And now you're operating with a high res, lower Mbps, and then that opens up the door for you to reduce those streaming costs. You can now add some advertising in there, maybe even do some translation into different language if there's voiceover. So this is a great example. Beamer is very well known ISV. We have a great relationship with them. And so Beamer, in theory, would then take this to the studios or to virtual production houses and shops, and have them embed their own application that NVIDIA is behind. We also have a free-form text model for audio, speech, audio, music, and sound, and that is called Fugato. So you can see the box to the left, just free-form type, whatever it is that you want. In this case, the prompt was, I want a train passing by with a lush string orchestra, and the audio output is phenomenal and, very rapid. The best way to think about Fugato is that it is very good for experimentation and synthesis. We did a really cool activation at NVIDIA GTC last year where we invited the RZA from Wu-Tang to hop on the John Lennon educational tour bus and knock around on Fugato and Etta and just play around, taking some stems from ballet and mud and just seeing what happens and just being inspired. So Fugato and Etta are great places to do that and be inspired and see what you might be able to come up with. In addition to, the other audio sound and music tools that are out there, such as Audio Shake or Suno or Audio. And this one is a very common use case. So this was Flawless AI, and it's around lip dubbing, lip syncing. And originally, when it was cut, this is from the movie Fall. The protagonist here, she's climbed up this wind tower really high up, and she's like, peppering, expletives, and this would not have passed in certain markets with, this R rating. So what they needed to do was dub it, do dialogue replacement. And when they were able to do that and get it down to more appropriate general audience rating, then the distribution was far more seamless. So that was a use case. You could also, turn that into Japanese or into Spanish or French or any of the languages. And Flawless AI, they're using NVIDIA Maxine and Riva and some other SDKs and HDKs, hardware development kits. And the last one here, this is more my world, and this is a partnership with NVIDIA, VAS, which does data storage, and the NHL. So NHL, you can imagine in these hockey arenas, there's upwards of like 26 cameras, I believe, and just some of it is just dull. Like there's no action happening, but it's capturing something. And they had 500,000 hours of archival footage and wanted to explore new innovation and excite fans and come up with a new fan engagement experience. And so, partnering with VAS said, dang, we got it. We're going to adopt some NVIDIA blueprint for video search and summarization. So no longer do you have to use a video production analyst to get in there and to kind of mine through all the hours of footage. Instead, using our VSS blueprint will get you there. So you could essentially query, I want to know more about fantasy hockey. Is there a market for this? Or you could query, tell me the winner of the 2008, Stanley Cup, and um, so on and so forth. And it was a really, really powerful partnership. And what they were able to do was truly level up that fan experience and give them something that was bespoke. So exciting stuff. And this is just one example of in the sports world that we're using big data, our vision language models, and it's not just the structured data either. It's again, it's all of this unstructured, the video, the images, and all of these big IP catalogs that we're sitting on, trying to turn that into new value. So I will drop that video and share that with you all, so you can take a look later. But I hope in this conversation it's been clear that with NVIDIA, what is the NVIDIA universe and how do we operate? And we are about enabling the entire ecosystem. It's not just NVIDIA working with one streaming platform or one linear network or one studio, but it's really about, how can we work through ISVs or even GSIs, such as consulting partners like Accenture, Quantify, Tech Mahindra, any of those, and how do we work together? And so, as for you all as creators, I think, hold that thought that there are many ways into the NVIDIA rocket ship. On the second, I hope it's been clear, like that media too has always been a part of NVIDIA. It's in our DNA. It's just that we are continuing to evolve ourselves. And the more use cases that are brought to us, that helps us figure out how we need to rearrange and pivot and respond to the marketplace as well. And third, I'll drop in the chat, some of these links to articles, build.nvidia.com. So if you're interested, Diane, getting in there and pulling down a blueprint, for video search and summarization, you could start that today yourself. So I'll send that over, and always here if they're, consider me a machine cinema NVIDIA ambassador. In fact, Fred, man, I don't know if you all want to share about GTC at all.
Please do. Yeah, and actually, if you
Okay.
want to take down your screen share so we can share the screen more. Min or you, I mean, we're very excited about this.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So GTC is our NVIDIA's big tentpole conference, and that is the week of March 16th through the 19th. Jensen keynotes that Tuesday. And we have a very clear, dedicated track for media and entertainment. We're so excited. But within that track, we this year are doing a creative collab zone. So we are so hyped because Machine Cinema is going to be there. So big ups. And if you all are in the area in San Jose, San Francisco, please come through. Please come through and support. I believe it's going to be on Thursday, so we're still shaping up details, more to come. But we want your engagement, we want your feedback. We also want you to experience, all the things NVIDIA has to offer to truly understand how you can be empowered by um, to think about reimagine your workloads and your workflows as creatives. And again, I'm always here. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn. Happy to drop my email if you want to direct connect. Based in New York and always open to coffee chats as well.
Amazing.
Oh, you didn't want to talk about the acquisition announcement, the Machine Cinema acquiring NVIDIA? I don't know if we are approved
I
to.
think you're still redlining it. I mean, we're not ready.
Yeah, oh shoot. Oh my gosh. That's
You're
oh
getting
my
out of
gosh.
You trying to get me caught up, man.
No, but obviously big thanks to Ia. Obviously we love what's going on in New York and the way that these connections happened. And obviously, thankfully, you consider yourself a part of our New York City hub, so to speak. Obviously, if anybody has questions, we like raising hands, and so they're jumping in. And if you use the chat, jump in. I mean, a little bit of time before we switch to Afrofuture, Diane. But I mean, I don't know if this is a question, but it's just sort of like something I want to observe. Like, I think about where you guys sit, and everything you just said really gives us a lot to chew on than our creative space. But it's hard not to feel like there's this sort of like 19th century moment of railroads being built, and this idea of like the land is suddenly travelable and navigatable. And between your company and some of the other big names, there's a lot of railroads being built, and it does feel like that's kind of the power you guys present back to, in this case, our use case of creativity and people telling stories. Like, how do you guys look at whatever the other side of that land being built is? Like, for anybody that, whether it's just pure
Mhm.
entrepreneurship, why people built railroads in the first place, there was a vision of at that point what America would be once all the cities were connected. How do you guys talk about that thing, that infrastructure that's being built?
Yeah, I'd say that I think we'd like to think all roads lead back to NVIDIA, and that we really are about enabling it and co-creating with one another. We do not pick and choose favorites. And so I think that's the cool thing about how we think about the ecosystem. Are there are little personas inside it. So you may be an enterprise customer. That would be the Netflix of the world, the Paramount Skydances of the world. You might be a creator, you might be a startup, you might be an ISV. Whatever work you're doing, it doesn't matter if it's simply tinkering with an SDK or you're buying a Grace Blackwell platform, for God knows what the price tag is. Like, it doesn't matter how you get there. We truly believe it's all interconnected. And that excites us. And it goes back to our philosophy on solving really, really hard problems. That's what Jensen, if you were to stand in front of Jensen, that's what he wants to hear. Tell me the hardest problem that you can
Mm.
solve.
Yeah, I think some people are getting annoyed at their prompting, that they're having trouble prompting exactly what they want. I'm just kidding. Um, but obviously, if anybody, please chime in with questions. I mean, what a unique perspective you and your company bring to the creative space. Because as you're saying, there's almost like a bigger infrastructure at play. But then to even know that these different examples of interacting put it very much in our hands of how we can interact with you. What do you expect this year's GTC to like, what will be the echo coming out of this year's GTC, this moment in time? It's we're in such a historic moment. How are you guys positioning the event, or what you guys hope to get out of it?
Yeah, yeah. From what I can share, it's Vera Rubin is going to be massively important for us as a company. So you'll hear more about that. It's fantastic that Runway's already announced that, taking a first step in that direction. I think that we're also always about trying to understand, like for media and entertainment too, what are those horizontal integrations that can happen? And we're always looking for people, detectives that can help us figure out, oh, like this use case we saw in biomedical, but that actually could be applied in media and entertainment. And robotics is going to be huge. And you heard me say that today. So think about Disney Imagineering. Moritz leads that research department at Disney with the Imagineering robots. Then you have Universal Parks, and they have some exciting stuff. So, but think about that in terms of media and entertainment. Excuse me. And what are those use cases? And we need more detectives. We need more eyes to figure out what that can be, because the future really is about physical AI and where that's going, and what we call robots that are outside in and inside out. So it's a camera watching a robot, or the robot watching the camera and performing in front of it. So robotics will be huge, and I'm really keen to see how that starts to really show up in M&E.
I mean, that's sort of what I feel is on the other side of these railroads, if I could keep borrowing my own metaphor here, is it seems like we're building a new type of technology, physical AI, like you're saying. This that we need to lay this infrastructure that we're participating in, that is taking in real world
Yes.
information, that is actually working, has a utility, fits our lives. I mean, there's so much iteration happening in all these different spheres that your company works in. But it does
Mhm.
feel like those sci-fi movies, they need this stage for us to kind of build in to then feel that opportunity of robotics, right?
Absolutely. And it's all of you all on this call are so needed to help those use cases, in the studios and the rendering side, virtual production. You know those, and you can already be able to build that bridge to how that can connect to robotics and what that physical AI world will look like.
Amazing. We're all part of it.
Yeah,
I want
that's
to
great.
wrap back with you, but Laura, I'm not sure I totally understand your question. I don't know if you want to ask it.
Sure. So, hi, Bianca. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was wonderful. I think all of us on this call are excited to work with NVIDIA in whatever way we can. We know that you guys are a powerful machine, to say the least, that is truly driving the future of innovation within this space. I was curious to hear, as a creator, what's the best way to actually get in and work with NVIDIA? You mentioned 27,000 plus startups that you're working with. I believe the program was Inception. Is that the best angle for us to look to work with you guys, or is it something like blueprints with build.nvidia.com?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of those paths for sure. So, build.nvidia.com, like if you are kind of keen to get in there and wrestle with the blueprint, go for it. Like there's some really great stuff that can be built. I do think, Inception is a great way because then that adds the human touch to it. So then you're in a cohort, you get to, hang out at different events, whether it's at GTC, NAB, IBC, all of these industry conferences. We typically will do a Inception media and entertainment event. I'd also say staying close to NVIDIAns, such as myself, or again, I'm happy to make introductions where it makes sense. And that having someone almost like a navigator or a Sherpa that can help you move through the massive organization that it is those three paths I would highly recommend from a creator angle. I'd also say that stay close to the work we do with NVIDIA and Dell. Oftentimes at conferences, we will have a village or a booth together, and whether it's the RTX Pro 6000 or some other creator built hardware, you get to play with that, and you get to see for yourself why that compute is really important for your workloads.
Thanks for the question, Laura. Thank you so much, Bianca. I feel lucky to I feel cool that I get to do a pre-call with you just to get to know you and before everybody else here gets to meet you. And great stuff with Ia introducing us. And we're so thrilled to collaborate with you next month. And
Oh,
obviously,
my pleasure.
we're together. But thank you so much for coming today. Obviously, if folks want to reach out to you, and I know you have to run in a little bit, but if you can stick around in the chat if other
Yeah.
folks have questions, I'm gonna unpin you and bring up our friend Afro Future, Diane. Big digital emoji claps and all the fun stuff we do in Google Meet calls if you guys can. But Diane, so excited to have you here too. Again, a high degree of badassery of guests today. I'm very humbled by the folks joining us today. Um, and you've been really active with us in the community. And then it just as again, I just have the privilege of spending some time getting to know you before a call like this. But so cool to hear your origin story. And I think today we'll also ping towards the idea that I think we're going to get to do a Robo Dojo with you. You've got a really cool take on that. I'll just say on my end, you're a little pixelated. Is anybody else? It looks like it's coming into clarity. I think we're good. Now you look great. Um,
And I live in the suburbs. We have internet like once a week. So my internet's a bit.
all right, well, I hope there's no lightning storm. Um, well, just by way of introduction, you are an award-winning Black British AI filmmaker. Min was questioning your Britishness earlier in the chat. Creative technologist and a speaker from the UK, and you've been a pioneer in AI-driven storytelling. You've won major global film competitions. You've spoken at TED AI Vienna, appeared on BBC Radio and Evening Standard podcast, and your work explores identity, connection, and the human side of artificial intelligence. Really excited to have you with us. I think minimally we want to just get to know how you got here and what you think about all this stuff, but I think you might even show us some cool stuff you're working on. And I'd love folks to hear your take on music videos too, because I think we have a really cool session cooking up with you that I hope this becomes even a way to lay some interest. But welcome to Gen Talks and throw it over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi everybody. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. Nice to meet Bianca as well. I've spoken to her many times and I've never gotten to actually see her. So it's so nice to put like names to faces and voices to faces and whatnot. And Tiffany and I can't pronounce her name. Is it I Robinson?
Yeah, literally born with the
Yeah.
coolest
I
AI name of all time.
please don't cuss me out, okay? Okay, all right. So hi everybody. I'm Afro Future, but don't call me Afro, just call me Diane because it's so much better than Afro, trust me. Um and I am a creator who loves AI, and I'm incredibly privileged to be even sitting here speaking to you. I don't know why I'm here, but it's very privileged to be speaking with you guys. Just a little bit about me. Ia. All right, thank you. I need to write that down. Thank you, thank you. I'm always pronouncing it wrong. So I'm originally a web designer. I don't know why I'm here. I just ended up here. I did a couple of things on the computer one day and boom, I'm talking to you guys. But a year ago, or a year and a half ago, I got into video and I absolutely loved it. And I created some pieces that came from my brain at 4 o'clock in the morning and decided to put it out and won a couple of awards with it. And it's been crazy ever since. My thing has really been about trying to create stories that matter, create stories that people can relate to, um, and create stories which are quite Black focused as well. As a 40 something year old, when I was growing up in England, we didn't have much Black people on TV. So, and we still don't, to be honest. That's just how it is. And a lot of my watching of TV was American films. So I got very much into like the Black exploitation era and the music in particular. So a lot of my work, when you see it, it's kind of based around, well, not all of it, but some of the work is based around that kind of 70s era. The music is very much that era as well. And I'm trying to do a lot more British stuff as well, to be honest, because Americans, great, I can tell some American stories, but the British stories are also important. And there's a lot of things that you guys don't know about us Black Brits. I mean, some of you guys didn't even think we had Black people in Britain, but yes, I am one of them. And we do have a history over here. So I would love to be able to tell that history with AI. So yeah, I've got some work that I want to show you. I'm not quite sure now though which one to show you.
I mean, you were pointing towards your Chroma film. I mean, that might be a good starting point as far as recent, unless you like taking us on a journey of where you've been.
Oh, you don't want to know where I've been, trust me. But I could definitely show you some. Okay, well, I'll show you the latest win. I won the Chroma Awards for the music video section, and again, this is all like based on storytelling. And then for me, storytelling is super important. And luckily, the song that I had to do this music video for, the artist, who is a real artist, has great storytelling abilities in how he raps. So it's very easy to try and get these images together and put them into a song. So I'm going to play you one of my songs. Where is it? Here we go.
So
Let me just
if
get
you are
all
sharing
the
on Google Chrome, if you're sharing on Google
Okay,
Chrome, it's great when it's a tab and it'll work even better.
as course, it's a tab. It's a tab.
Love the tabs.
All right.
We're sponsored by the soft drink. That's why I keep talking about tabs.
Can you hear it?
That, that's a joke.
I didn't hear the joke, but I'm sure it might have been funny.
I,
All right.
it's not that funny. I can see the video if you want to. Are you hitting play?
Okay, yeah, I'm
And
gonna
also, if your
press
internet is
press.
challenging, maybe send me. Maybe if your internet is challenging with too much, maybe send me the link and I can share from here, just in case.
Do you know what? Can I send? I'm gonna put the link in the chat
Perfect.
just
And I'll
because
I'll
my
play it on my
internet
side.
is. Let
Yeah, perfect. I will share on my side. Yep.
me stop sharing. Don't do that to me.
Right. Starting from the beginning. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Breeze.
Hi, I'm Corin.
So, Corin, you're not even going to share some of this food?
Oh, you got jokes. Don't do that to me.
Yeah. I met this girl called Corin at uni, a beauty, truly a movie, groovy, 5'5" dark skin, hotter than Bib Crumb, pretty brown eyes, thick thighs and a thick bum. So fine, I started acting a bit dumb, like wearing swimming trunks just to go for a quick run. I'm chilling in the canteen, speaking on the phone. There she was, sitting and eating on her own. Breeze, don't put these girls on pedestals. Think with the brain in your head, not your genital. Just talk like Tevin Campbell. And please don't freeze. I walked over and said, hi, my name's Breeze.
Hi, I'm Corin.
She replied with a smile, brand Nubian if I'm describing the style. Turned a half grin to laughing after asking, do you say plantain or say plantain? The more we talked, the more it seemed like I knew her from another lifetime, previous user. Got the digits and we spoke that night.
Yeah.
5 hours later, we were saying goodnight. In a couple of weeks, I got the location, invitation, student accommodation. And there's nothing to be frightened of. This could be the perfect night for love. I really want to get to know you. You're so beautiful and soulful. I think tonight's gonna be the perfect night. I really want to get to know you. You're so beautiful and soulful. I think tonight's gonna be the perfect night. Jumped in the shower, scrubbed extra hard, sprayed deodorant, dope like Escobar. 30 press-ups before I dress up, bless up, stepped out the house and told myself, don't mess up. I'm looking forward to the kissing and the banter. I bought some chicken chow mein and some Fanta, rang the doorbell and waited, surprise. She was shocked, I could see it in her eyes. Sat in the living room, eyes on the booby trap. The doorbell rang, I was like, who is that? She opened the door and walked this other brother. Yeah, I knew this brother was not her brother. I'm looking at Corin, he's looking at me. She's looking innocent, trying to watch TV. The perfect night, but he ruined it. Like when you grab an ice cream tub from the freezer, but there's stew in it. I really want to get to know you. You're so beautiful and soulful. I think tonight's gonna be the perfect night. I really want to get to know you. You're so beautiful and soulful. I think tonight's gonna be the perfect night. 10 minutes later, it's time for me to leave. I packed up my chow mein, then I breezed. Corin walked after me, tried to explain.
Breeze, wait. I don't know why my ex.
She's caught in the middle of two, like a W. Wonder who's more vexed, me or this other dude. Felt like a sucker who got cut with a new knife when she said,
Breeze, I like you, but you're too nice.
Some girls pick bad guys when they pass by. Get treated like feces, then ask why. Don't come crying on my shoulder when you're older. When it's over, you're sober. Baby in the stroller. In my head, I'm on my knees, saying, why please? That brother better not be eating a Chinese. Just another day in the life of a younger man. The ways of a woman are hard to understand. I really want to get to know you. You're so beautiful and soulful. I think tonight's gonna be the perfect night. I really want to get to know you. You're so beautiful and soulful. I think tonight's gonna be the perfect night. I didn't come all the way out here to feed the next man, you know. Ah, yo, see your life.
Breeze, wait.
Yeah.
Super cool. Love it.
I
and
cringe
super
when I
cool.
see that
Great
because
stuff,
that feels like 5 years ago work. Like I did that 5 years ago.
I
If
mean,
I
that
was
is,
to
that is
run
the,
that,
is there a term for that yet? Like, what is that? Like, there's always like Murphy's Law. Is there a term yet for like the angst of making something and knowing that it'll be like old in a week? But does that is there a name for that yet?
we need to think of one
Yeah.
because I literally feel like that by the time I press publish, it's like that shit is old.
Let's go ahead and call it Min's Law. Let's just give Min all the credit for it. It's Min's Law, as you put, anyway. But what a cool day. We have a lot of questions.
Let's not do that.
Needed. Let's not do that. All right. I'm trying to put you in history here somewhere, man. Working on it. But I mean, one question I have, like, as you create characters and as you interact with something that makes you happy, of like, and again, you mentioned in your bio that, you really focus on identity. How much do you tussle with the outputs and whether or not some people have a lot of, real feelings about algorithmic bias or just like the generic, sort of data it sometimes has. How do you interact with that? And maybe find what speaks to you as you create characters that speak to, at least when you say you tell stories about identity.
So, um, I had a lot of those problems actually, because a lot of my images used to start from Midjourney, and in the beginning, Midjourney was very difficult in terms of like creating authentic looking Black people. I would create a woman with an afro, and her afro would be so perfect, and her edges would be intact. Like, bruh, it's just not realistic. Over time, I started to notice that there was a certain look that I would always get. So I'd have to be very specific with my prompting. I would have to be like, not just it's a Black woman or it's a Black man. I'd have to be almost pedantic to the point of saying, it's a Nigerian man, or it's a person from this particular part of the world, or whatever, to get more of a focused view. And even if I was to prompt an Indian person, for instance, I noticed that if I used English to prompt for an Indian woman walking down the street, it would give me a poor Indian woman walking down the street. But then if I used Bengali, if I translated my prompt into Bengali and I used it, I'd find a normal Indian woman walking down the street. So there is a lot of like prompting and not hacking, but just knowing how to use different prompts and different languages in order to get the best from the model. With this particular music video, I started in Midjourney, and then as I was continuing and trying to build out the graphics, it just wasn't working. And at that time, I think Nano Banana, not Pro, but the first generation Nano Banana came out, and I was trying to fight for it on Free Pick. I was trying to use it on Higgsfield. It was taking 465 days to download. It was a lot of things. So I ended up actually vibe coding my own app and hooking it into Google in order to create my initial image from Midjourney, and then kind of build it without all of the biasness, by just using of an app that I vibe coded. And I still use that app actually to this day, but I think a lot of the models are now catching on. So I can actually show it to you actually really quickly. I don't want
That'd be
to.
really interesting. I mean, like, it's interesting
Um,
because it sounds like your reaction is, on the one hand, you acknowledge that the models are limited, and I think it's the kind of thing that a lot of people, there's a lot of worries about what does that mean about the models, but it sounds like as a creator, the answer is like, well, then it's still your output that you're then
yeah,
in control of, and then it's about how do you, well, command what you want out of it, right?
yeah, yeah. It is I also feel that when the world becomes more accessible, because at the moment we still have a lot of Black and brown countries that do not have full internet access, right? So a lot of these data sets are based on a lot of data which is not necessarily it's not replicating what's really going on in the real world. So I feel that once especially in Africa, where I only think there's a small percentage of Africa which has internet access, and there's a whole, and it's like that across the world, where there's just pockets where there's just no internet access, which means that we don't get to see their photos, we don't get to see what a person in this country looks like, or what the general population looks like, because there isn't enough data for that. So hopefully as times move on and the internet spawns out, we'll have less of this issue when it comes to generating. But Midjourney has done amazing. I generated an image the other day, and there was a woman wearing a lace front, and her lace front was lifting off her head. I thought, look at that. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. I want to see all different types of hair. I don't just want to see, so it's amazing really. But I was going to show you this app, but it's giving me some
I,
issues. You can't.
That's cute, and I love that in some ways I think, and I don't know if this is enough, like, nothing's ever enough. We should always advocate for things to be better, when these things, touch on identity and representation. But it does seem like as noise has made these models that like money and like making it, they can get the memo and they can work on making things better. And that seems like one setting for feedback. Um, I also want to talk about the music stuff, and unless you had a response to that. Sorry, I don't mean to switch gears.
No, no, I've
Did you have
got
it?
no response
Yeah.
to that.
Um, the talk about music videos, and I do think it's minimally a very fun gen jam for us at Machine Cinema. We love music video gen jams; they're very joyous, but it does feel like they're almost evolving into a fun medium of experimentation, iteration, expression. The music labels are getting it, artists are getting it, and then I think as a creator, you are finding a voice in it. That and that there's this expression that I'm already ready to call it the label for the Robo Dojo, but what do we call it? Listening to music visually, which I think
Yeah,
is such a cool thing to say out loud.
yeah.
And I think, what does that mean to you, and how have you adopted music videos as a genre for you?
So, I have a very kind of extensive history when it comes to music. My family background, we're all musicians in some form or the other. My dad's a music producer. When I was very young, I was constantly in studios all the time. So music is literally in my blood. And I think the way I may listen to music may be slightly different from other people, but a lot of my influences from music also came from movies and Sonic the Hedgehog and a lot of gaming stuff. So when I think of music, um, it's not just a rhythm for me. It is images, it's pictures, it's sounds, it's smells, it's textures, it's shapes. It's sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in some music. And I think those type of feelings that I get when I'm listening are, and I think a large majority of people listen to music that way, but they may not really tap into it like that. So I'm hoping to try to get more people to look at music in that way because I think it's a great way of transposing those feelings into visual forms. Um, so I've been doing quite a lot of music videos. I absolutely enjoy doing the music videos for sure. Um, and I did a course actually, a very quick workshop 2 weeks ago where I was showing people how to how to sense music like that. And it was interesting because I was asking them, like, what colors do you feel when you listen to this music? Like, what some people didn't feel colors, some people felt shapes, and some people felt or smelt something, or they visually saw like a scene being acted out. So things like that. I would really like to do something with Machine Cinema at some point where we can have a almost like a sit down and we're listening to music and we're feeling it on different levels and writing down what those feelings are and then translating that into visual pieces, into music videos. I'm a judge of like three festivals at the moment, and one of the things that I see lacking is like everybody wants to do a movie, everybody wants to do a trailer, everybody wants to do those things, but when it comes to music videos, there's very limited amount of people that want to do music videos, and not only that, some of them are just not very good, unfortunately. Um, so trying to, and I'm not saying I'm the best by far, not at all. But what I am saying is that it will be good if we could all come together and experiment and find ways that we could play around with different forms of music videos. Because not all music videos are storytelling or narrative. Some music videos are just, visualizers, or some are performance based. But it's really about kind of trying to focus in on and try to do different ones. I would love to do something like that with Machine Cinema if you
Uh,
wanted.
just consider it done. We're just picking a date, but I love that act of collective intelligence, of almost like I think it's funny when we've done music videos before. We often include like, "Hey, use Suno and make a song." I think what I'm hearing you say is like, "No, no, we're going to start with maybe a regular song. We might even invite an artist to this. We might
Yeah.
make them feel like they're part of this, but to create that moment of like, what does it look like to have this type of iteration in real time, right?"
Yeah, 100%. Every music video that I do, I meditate on that song for a couple of days before I even think about visuals, before I even think about going on Mid-Journey or Free Pick or any of the other things. I'm literally sitting down and engorging myself in everything that I feel that that song represents, and then I will start creating afterwards. So it's really like, how do we get into that? How do we get into that mode? What does that mode feel like? And how do we translate that? And that is that translation from that feeling to the translation that sometimes could be lost. So I think if we could do some kind of hackathon, lissathon, I don't know how you want to call it, thon thing, I think that'd be
I think
great.
it's a future-thon, or maybe you pick whether it's a Diana-thon or a future-thon, you get to choose. I mean, Min and I talk a lot about this when we're trying to figure out where things going. I love this as a experiment of this is something uniquely AI, this moment that we're all making together. We're all that feels really cool to me. I'm excited for that. It sounds like you've already got a bunch of people that are going to sign up for it here. Um, what is music music video genre that you feel most comfortable in? I've also seen some of your other films that you express. I mean, where are you at as a creator? What do you want this next year to be for you?
So I think last year was me just pissing about, just experimenting, just like trying to figure out like what part of the pasta is sticking to the wall when I throw it on there. But I think this year is more about, okay, what stories does Diane really have in her? And to be honest, a lot of them are dark and horror. I'm just letting you know. So I will be putting out some dark and horror stuff this year. For me, I am like an avid horror fan, right? And I am so sick and tired of seeing, and please don't take offense, but I am so sick and tired of seeing amazing horror films and there's hardly any black people in it. I want a black horror film where it's not going to make me laugh. Like, no one's going to crack a joke in the middle about chicken and then everyone's going to laugh because chicken are black people. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to do like a real horror where you leave scared of black people and you're black yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want you just scared of people in general. That's the type of horror I want to do. Something dark and like just like you can't go to sleep. You now have to watch Sesame Street to go to sleep, just to kind of ease off the tension. That's the type of horror that I want to make. And I'm hoping to God that if I do get to make this horror, that neither Sea Dance, I don't want to hear nothing from Sea Dance trying to censor me. I don't want to hear nothing from any of these people. Cling, just put it through. Okay, there's blood in it. Just deal with it. Just deal with it. Sorry, I'm having a moment.
What if we
But
call the blood like chocolate syrup and we just like change it later? Maybe the prompt works just fine. We call it chocolate syrup. That's what we use in film school. We used to do chocolate syrup. And
I did something the other day with Sea Dance, and I was like, "Hey, this woman is cutting an apple," and it was like, "No," and I was like, "Bro, if we can't even do apples, I don't even know what we're doing here."
Hey, so we're back to Sea Dance, and somebody at the top of this was saying, "I hope we like." So you said you haven't slept or something sad to hear about your health when it comes to the impact of AI. But
About that.
what do you think? You have a real perspective. You've interacted. You've had early access to a lot of models. I even remember when you had early access to the Kling updates. You were excited to share. You know, whether it's the hyperbole that comes with every time we talk about this stuff, and then next week we're excited. Like, does this feel like it's doing something unique for you as a creator? Is this taking you in a different place than what the model's doing?
So I've got access to Sea Dance, and I've been playing around with it for the past couple of days. And yes, I haven't slept. It is what it is. Um, but I have not been this excited about a piece of tech since Mid-Journey. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I haven't been this excited about it. And usually I put it on my I put it on my Twitter thing the other day yesterday, where I said, usually when video models come out, we all kind of like, everyone goes crazy about it. And then you go and you test it and you're like, is it though? But you don't get that with Sea Dance. Every time you use it, it's like, you have to take a breath. And it's just so much different things that my workflow feels like it's completely changed now. And I have to now rethink about how I like, do I even need to like, do I need Midjourney anymore? Do I need to have consistent characters and different profiles of my consistent character? Or do I need to have like, there's just so much things that it's making me rethink because of how great it is. And these AI slot people out here who say, no, you know, you don't get any emotion. Like C Dance literally said, take my coat, and has given you the most amazing emotion from it. The voices are amazing as well. And it's a big thing for me because sometimes when I'm using things like Kling and I say, you know, put in a British accent or in specifically a London British accent, it could be a bit up and down. Whereas Sea Dance, my characters sound like they're from Top Boy, all of them, and I
Yep.
like that. To be honest, I don't mind that. I don't mind it at all. But then I can change it and say, you know, make the person sound Jamaican, and it's like, wow.
So,
So
one question in the chat is the same question I have. Like, I'm playing with it on Dramina, and I know it's annoying to people that we can't share these things, but I think at least Dramina, we're supposed to sign an NDA on showing it. But
yeah,
the thing that I'm curious, because it is a multimodal agentic, there's the what at least on my side it's called an omni reference,
yeah.
which it's on trend. VO has ingredients, Kling has their version of elements. It's another modality of instead of keyframes, we're throwing in a picture of Diane and it knows to put you in every scene. Have you found this was a voice consistency question Christian just asked. Have you found that there's a way to load up voice clones and assign them to characters? I know that the avatar tool instead of Dramina, you can do that one at a time, but that seems inevitable that that's what we want to do. I want a picture of Diane and I want to know what she sounds like and I want it to be repeatable. Have you found that yet?
So what I have found is, um, I don't know how it's doing it, but I'm using it. I'm not necessarily using it in Dream, I'm using it on another platform at the moment. And this, I don't know how it does it, but I've used the same image and I've given it the lines and it sounded the same on the next generation. So I don't know whether it looks at the face and it says, oh, this is how this person is supposed to sound. And obviously you have to be specific. So you've got to say it's a British accent or it's an American accent or it's a accent from New Jersey or wherever. But I've used it quite a few times and the voice has sounded similar. Though I do need to do more testing. But from what I've seen, the
But,
consistency, it
but
is,
obviously the instinct is we want to be able to be controlled. And I
I
know
mean,
Kling on their website has an option to load up a voice clone. You can't use it in free pick, but they have it on the Kling website.
I don't think that there is an option with Dreamina, but I mean, if that's not the case, we just throw it into 11 Labs.
No, I know, but I mean, in
Mm.
terms of pulling something from 11 Labs into it. Anyway, we're into the wonk. But to answer your question, Christian, it seems inevitable to me that this is what everybody wants, is to be able to have your character always sound the same, and it seems like we're very close to that. But yeah, Kling seems to be the most set up on their website, that there's literally a insert voice clone, as some of us have seen. We're close, guys. It's incredible how much this is getting to where we need it to be.
Yeah, I've been using it a lot for just like world building as well, just by like getting the 360-degree angles of certain rooms and trying to use those as part of the Omni thing so I can build out a more fuller theme that looks a little bit more consistent. Still playing around with it. It's still a little bit edgy, but in terms of the sound, and I like the fact that I can say no music and it doesn't put any music in it. And I could also say don't put no background stuff like special effects, and it listens. If I just say I just want people talking and nothing else, it listens, which is really, really cool because you want to get that video as stripped as possible so then you can add your own layering of sound to it without the extra bits on there. So I'm really enjoying that. I just can't
Yeah.
wait till it's out.
Yeah, I think we're a week out, and it's gonna. If we thought there was a lot on the internet chatter, it's gonna be about It's about to be crazy, unless some other update comes in and sideswipes it and makes it all about what VO4 looks like or something.
Can you imagine Luma comes out with something that's like, oh, it's a
Yeah.
game changer? Like, yeah, we've been waiting, but here we go.
Head spinning times. Well, we're right at about when most people have to say, I thought this call was supposed to be over 15 minutes ago, and they stuck around for 15 minutes. So thankful when everybody does stick around. Thankful to Bianca for joining us today. Thankful for you. And obviously, you know, real talk, I want to get listening to music visually as an experience. I think you just pitched it, and I hope everybody here joins it. But really, really cool to hopefully meet you in person someday, but I'll be happy enough to do it over Google Meet and your suburban Wi-Fi. And again, brought to you by Tab today, guys, or some 1980s soda pop. I'm kidding, just because we always like to ask people to use their Chrome tabs. But thanks everybody for showing up. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everybody for always being here. Next week is going to be a very interesting format. We're going to have, if they show up, we're going to have Min and Eve Bergquist have a debate. So if anybody's been in base camp, you know that that's the good stuff. So it should be an interesting Gen Talks next week. But thanks everybody, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.